Hello and welcome to the December 2nd edition of the Gold, Goats, and Guns Short News. My name is Tom Luongo. Got a lot to talk about. And today I want to talk about Donald Trump at the G20. Now, back in April, when Donald Trump sent out 71 Tomahawk missiles in response to the chemical weapons attack, supposed chemical weapons attack on an Eastern Duma, I wrote an article saying, Trump is done, the coup is complete. And I just reread that article. And while I was wrong about the way they were going to destroy Trump, I was not wrong about the general thesis. Trump hasn't been president since April. Pretty obvious. He had one opportunity, one or two small opportunities with North and South Korean summit, with the summit with Kim, and with his summit with Putin in Helsinki, both of which were done in opposition to his staff, which now have complete control over him. And that's that. But it started then. I think, honestly, Helsinki was the last independent act that Trump engaged in as president. With the midterm elections ending in a complete disaster, with the Democrats having stolen just enough Senate seats to ensure that anything's possible in 2019. I just don't see this playing out any other way than they will bind him down for the next year and a half, and everything he does will make him look bad. So let's go to the G20. It's now easy to neutralize Trump on any level. So he was supposed to meet with Putin at the Armistice Day celebration in Paris on November 11th. And that was scuttled by Emmanuel Macron. It wasn't scuttled by Macron. It was scuttled by Bolton and Pompeo and the rest of the staff. Okay, don't kid yourself in thinking that Trump is in charge of anything. The last person to go meet with Putin was John Bolton. The only one who actually goes anywhere to meet with anybody is Mike Pompeo. Trump is not in charge. They are. You understand? They're the ones who now speak for Trump. They're the ones Trump doesn't say, I'll meet with Putin whenever I want. No, Pompeo is out there saying, Trump will speak to the Russian president whenever. Bolton comes out and he makes pronouncements about when Trump is going to be allowed to do his job. National Security Advisor and his Secretary of State are running foreign affairs. Trump is just the figurehead. So there's no meeting with Putin at the G20, right? Nominally, and Trump says, well, it's because of this terrible aggression with Ukraine in the Kerch Strait. Trump knows all of this stuff is nonsense. Trump knows that this was a provocation on Ukraine's part. I just read an article, great article by Jim Jatras over at Strategic Culture Foundation. I'll put a link in the description of this video down below, going over the end of Trump's America First policy. There's nothing America First about what he's doing right now. Nothing. For those of you MAGAPedes still in the audience, he's not exercising any kind of America First policy. He may think he is, but he's not. John Bolton is not engaged in any way in an America First policy. Period. He's involved in an Israeli First policy. His view of America First and what they have done to Trump is to explain to him that America First means maintaining the empire overseas. If Donald Trump wanted to improve America's competitiveness around the world and truly put forth an America First perspective policy, he would cut spending by $1 trillion a year, not run a $1 trillion a year deficit. Does not matter that we need $15 trillion worth of infrastructure work in the United States. $1 trillion a year more deficit will do more to undermine the United States' long-term strategic concerns than building $1 trillion worth of bridges next year or the year after. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. The best thing to do is to cut $1 trillion worth of waste from the government. We have a Defense Department that fails egregiously its internal audit. But it didn't fail as badly as the Pentagon thought they were going to fail. I guess that's supposed to be something we should be proud of. Not really sure. So, no meeting with Putin over the flimsiest of excuses. Trump is completely not in control of his foreign policy anymore. He never was. He made a deal with the neocons back in 2016 over this. They let him run the table on everything. And I've said since then that he's just letting them run everything into the ground and eventually he'll pick up the pieces. But he's not even going to be allowed to pick up the pieces because they're going to continue to undermine Korean reunification. It's already happening. Pompeo is in there making unreasonable demands on North Korea. Our operatives are working brilliantly to turn South Korean conservatives against Moon Jae-in. His approval rating is down from 85% earlier in the year down to just 52%. Now, some of it is his own progressive universal wage nonsense, and some of it is purely classic neocon propaganda. Same talking points that are coming out of our people over here are coming out of conservatives in South Korea. We're being too lenient on North Korea. Kim's not agreeing to anything, and all this stuff, nonsense. Like, he's not moving fast enough for our taste. Like, we put unreasonable demands on people, and then when they can't meet those reasonable demands, we call them bad guys and destroy them in the press. This is what we do. Doing the same thing with Iran, doing the same thing with Russia, doing the same thing with everybody else that we have decided to demonize. This is the way the game is played. And they've done it to Trump. And Trump is just enough of a narcissist and just enough of a thin-skinned bully to not be able to handle it. And he can handle it. Can't handle the criticism. He still watches CNN. Why? He's doing the job of the president. He has always been a useful sideshow. Always been useful as the guy, basically the court jester, basically the kid pointing out that the emperor has no clothes. He's been good at that. And I applaud him for that. I'm happy that he's our president for doing that. And I'm happy to have voted for him, to have him out all these people as the villains as they are. We can see them for who they are now. We see them as the villains that they truly are. We understand it. So many more people today understand this dynamic than they did before. That's great. Trump deserves tremendous credit for that. Doesn't deserve any credit for the way he's rolled over and played dead in the last months. He has no cards to play. If he did, you play them. Jim Jatras reminded us in his article earlier that what Tuco said in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. When it's time to shoot, you shoot. Don't talk. You got cards to play. Play them. You have people that you're going to indict people. Indict them. You're going to go after them. Go after them. Don't sit here and play games with and let them just set the agenda for you. Like they're doing with Michael Cohen and Ukraine and everything else. Trump is doing everything wrong. Let the European Union create their own grand army. More of an excuse for us to get out of NATO. But notice how John Bolton wants us to pull out of the UN, pull out of every treaty we've ever signed, pull out of everything except NATO. No. We can't pull out of NATO. Because we need NATO to force project around the world. We need NATO to ensure that Martin Marietta, that Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics and the rest of them, they get paid. No. Eric Prince Blackwater has ways to become viceroy. Send his mercenaries around the world. Viceroy in Afghanistan. Send his mercenaries around the world. No. Those things, those boondoggles cannot be abrogated. We're at the point now. Putin, by the way, has been playing for time with Ukraine since the beginning. Once Poroshenko's gone, he'll deal with the next guy who comes out. At the end of the day, we're spending trillions of dollars we don't have on bases we can't afford and projects around the world that are not sustainable. Meanwhile, oligarchs using stolen money are paying people to protest, storm the borders, augment riots in Paris, all sorts of crazy stuff. Scuttle Brexit, all of it. I mean, trillions on this stuff. Meanwhile, money velocity continues to drop. Markets become more and more illiquid. And everybody's wealth stands on a knife edge. It's unsustainable. Did any wonder that Putin's buying gold as fast as he can? Did any wonder that that Chinese Premier Xi Jinping gave Trump a small win at the G20? Yeah, we'll buy some soybeans. Yeah, we'll buy some oil. Trump will not raise tariffs at the end of Q1 because the globalists don't want him to raise tariffs. Not that I want him to raise. But even if he were to raise tariffs, it would at least show that at least he has some semblance of control over something, presidency, which he doesn't. And that's the sad truth. And that's all you need to know. All right, this has been the Gold, Ghosts, and Guns short news for Sunday, December 2nd, 2018. If you liked what you heard today, you can give me a like and subscribe down below. That'd be fantastic. You can follow my work over at my blog over at goldgoatsandguns.com. You can follow me on Twitter at TFL1728. And you can join my Patreon over at patreon.com/goldgoatsandguns. You guys have a great afternoon. You take care. Keep your stick on the ice.